Welcome back to Crime Time, Inc. Today, we're going to explore the story of Frank Abagnale, the former con man turned FBI consultant,
Yes.
whose story inspired the movie Catch Me If You Can. So it's unbelievable, but it's a true story. We've got a ton of sources about him.
Yeah, we dug up a lot
Interviews, articles, even some stuff Frank said himself.
trying to figure out how he did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Frank's just fascinating because he was like a master of deception.
Right.
Like way before the internet made it easy. Like how did he convince people he was a pilot, a doctor, a lawyer?
And all before he was 21.
Yeah, crazy.
It really is unbelievable. So where do we even begin? How did he do it? Let's start with his early life. What was his childhood like?
So Frank had like a normal childhood, loving parents, the whole deal.
Okay.
But then his parents got divorced. And he was asked to choose which parent to live with, like in court.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that messed him up. In one interview, he talks about like running out of the courtroom crying.
Oh, wow.
And he didn't see his mom again for 7 years.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, so he felt betrayed, abandoned.
Right.
And that's what pushed him to run away at 16.
Oh, wow. So young.
Yeah.
And that's when the cons started.
That's when it all began.
So, like, what did those early cons even look like?
At first, they were really small time. You know, like he changed his driver's license to seem older.
Oh, yeah.
Wrote some bad checks.
Okay.
And always looking for ways to make a quick buck. He'd use his dad's gas card to buy car parts.
Oh, sneaky.
And then he'd convince the attendants to give him cash for the parts.
Wow. How did he do that?
I know. It's crazy. He'd be super charming.
Wow.
And he even like cut the gas station clerks in on it.
What? So they were in on it?
Yeah, he gave them a share of the money.
Wow. That's incredible.
Right. He could really read people.
Yeah, and persuade them.
Figure out how to get what he wanted. That's what we call social engineering.
Okay, so explain that to me.
It's like manipulating people to get information or access to things, often by tricking them and building trust.
Oh, so he was good at that.
He was a master at it.
Wow.
And this was way before the internet made it even easier.
So it's not just a hacker thing.
No. Not at all.
So social engineering like happens in real life too.
Totally. We're always getting hit with information and requests.
Right.
So if someone's friendly tells a good story, it's easy to let your guard down.
Makes sense.
That's why it works so well.
So back to Frank.
Yeah.
He became an airline pilot.
Well, he pretended to be one.
Yeah, but how did he even come up with that?
He met some airline crew by chance and realized being a pilot would make cashing checks easier.
Really?
Yeah. So he went all in, like super meticulously crafting his persona.
So like he actually got a Pan Am uniform?
And a fake ID.
I read he even used a decal from a model airplane to make the ID look real. But it wasn't just looking the part.
Well, he had to act like it too.
So he learned all the pilot lingo.
He'd watch how they acted.
Wow.
And project this air of confidence.
So people believed him.
They totally bought it.
And he was so convincing he managed to deadhead?
Yeah, fly for free by pretending to be a pilot.
He traveled all over the world.
Over 1 million miles, 26 countries.
It was crazy he was living this jet-setting life.
Yeah.
And it was all based on a lie.
But he wasn't just winging it.
No.
He planned everything carefully.
Yeah.
Adapted every step of the way.
It's amazing.
He even said he never flew on Pan Am.
Really? Why not?
He was too scared someone would recognize his fake ID.
Oh, wow. He knew his limits.
He knew how far he could push it.
Yeah.
But being a pilot wasn't his only con.
Right, there were others.
Oh, yeah. Frank had a bunch of personas.
Wow. So, like, what else did he pretend to be?
He was a doctor in Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, and a lawyer in Louisiana.
Wow.
Using the same tactics to gain people's trust and take advantage of them.
So it wasn't just about a uniform or a fake ID?
No, it was about understanding people.
Right.
Their psychology, their emotions, what they expected.
And that's why his story is so relevant even today.
Especially with the internet.
Yeah.
Social engineering is everywhere now.
Right. It's not just about charming your way onto a free flight.
Yeah, now it's phishing emails, fake profiles, online scams.
All designed to steal your information.
Exactly, and anyone can fall for it.
That's scary.
It's not about being gullible.
Right.
It's about knowing how these con artists work.
And staying vigilant.
Yeah, because deception is everywhere online.
Yeah, that's true.
Frank's story reminds us even the best con artists get caught.
Yeah, eventually.
He did some time in a few different countries.
Oh, wow.
But then the U.S. government made him an offer.
What was that?
They said he could work with the FBI.
To, like, catch other fraudsters.
Exactly.
That's quite the career change.
It was, at first, he just wanted to get out of jail.
Yeah.
But then working with the FBI, he found like a purpose. Yeah, using his skills to help people.
Wow.
He stayed with the FBI for over 40 years.
There's a rumor that Tom Wood worked for the FBI. He doesn't like to talk about it, but maybe one day he'll tell us about his time working with the FBI. That would be really cool.
I'd love to hear those stories. But going back to Abagnale, it's important to understand. His decision to work with the FBI, it wasn't because he suddenly wanted to be a good guy. He admits he saw it as a way out of prison, that's all.
So not exactly a change of heart then.
Nope. But something changed while he was at the FBI. He met his wife while undercover, they fell in love, started a family.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
He went from deceiving people to protecting them.
Exactly. He knew he'd caused harm
Yeah.
and wanted to make things right.
So he really dedicated himself to that.
Yeah, he wanted to educate people about scams,
Right.
help them stay safe.
And I know he's become a big advocate for security,
Oh, yeah.
even working with AARP's Fraud Watch Network.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing he's really against is debit cards.
Yeah, he calls them the worst financial tool ever.
Oh, yeah.
He says when your debit card gets compromised, it's your money that's gone.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's really hard to get that money back.
Right.
And you don't have the same protection as a credit card.
Plus, debit cards don't help you build credit.
Right, which you need for loans or renting.
Yeah, it's important.
He says use credit cards.
Okay.
Because you have limits on what you're liable for.
Right.
And you're basically spending the bank's money until you pay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He's also big on password security.
Yeah, that's something everyone should care about.
But his perspective is interesting.
Oh, how so?
He thinks passwords will be gone soon.
Really?
But for now, we need strong, unique passwords for every account.
Okay, so like different passwords for everything.
Exactly.
What else?
He says don't change your passwords all the time.
Really? Why not?
He says people end up using weaker passwords.
Oh, I see.
Or they just forget them.
Yeah, that's happened to me.
Instead, he says use websites to check if your passwords have been leaked.
Oh, so like those sites that have lists of hacked passwords?
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually really helpful.
He also says don't carry too much info in your wallet.
Makes sense.
That's asking for identity theft.
So basically be mindful.
Right, and proactive.
Don't just give out personal info.
Exactly. And if something seems off, question it.
Good advice.
He even wants stronger data protection laws.
Really?
Especially in the U.S.
What does he think we should do?
He likes how they do it in Europe.
How's that?
People have more control over their info.
Oh.
He says here companies can sell our data without asking.
That doesn't seem right.
He thinks we should decide who sees our credit history and stuff.
That's pretty bold.
Yeah, he even testified before Congress.
Wow.
He wants a law so anyone can freeze and unfreeze their credit anytime.
Without fees.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
It is. It shows he wants to fix things.
Make up for his past.
Yeah, and protect people from scams.
So data protection is important to him.
He sees it as a right, not a service you pay for.
That's interesting.
His story shows us that scams are always changing.
Yeah, and getting more complex.
But so are the ways to stop them.
It's like a game of cat and mouse.
Exactly, and knowledge is our best weapon.
We can learn from Frank.
Absolutely, even someone deep in deception can change.
Yeah, and use their skills for good.
It also shows we have to be careful.
And informed.
Yeah, because scams are getting really advanced.
It's not about being paranoid.
No, it's about knowing the tactics.
And taking precautions.
Frank's story teaches us about security and trust.
How they've evolved.
He's proof that knowledge is power.
Even a master manipulator can change.
And become an advocate for doing the right thing.
Yeah, it really is a reminder. We got to be careful out there.
Mm-hmm. Protect ourselves from these scams.
But part of what makes Frank's story so crazy is it's almost hard to believe.
Right.
Did they even get it right in that film?
You mean Catch Me If You Can?
Yeah, that one.
I think Frank's only seen it a few times.
Oh, really?
But he said Spielberg got the main parts right.
Okay.
Obviously some Hollywood stuff added in.
Right.
But the core of it is there.
Yeah, I guess it brought his story to a lot more people.
Definitely.
It's one thing to read about it,
Mm-hmm.
but seeing it on screen is different.
It makes it real.
And I think people are fascinated by con artists.
Yeah. Their audacity.
The way they can outsmart everyone.
It's scary, but also kind of cool.
I get that it's like we're horrified but impressed.
Yeah, exactly.
But in the end, Frank's story isn't just about the cons.
No, it's about choices.
Consequences.
Redemption even after making big mistakes.
That's a good point. It makes you think.
About our own weaknesses.
Right.
What we believe too easily.
And how much deception is out there.
Especially now.
Yes, so much has changed.
But Frank's story gives us hope.
That we can learn from the past.
And protect ourselves in the future.
I wonder what our two technophobes will think about this episode
Yeah.
in their weekly review on Sunday. But in the meantime, tune in tomorrow for another great true crime episode.